they booked you guys together, because when Bret was first brought in, it was he was there at the end of the Starrcade 97 main event. They tried to do a little takeoff with the Montreal incident, and Nick Patrick was supposed to do a fast count, or at least that was the plan, and then that didn't really go down exactly as they'd hoped. And Bischoff recently said he believes that Hogan put Nick Patrick up to doing a regular count. Bret, you were there ringside. What were you thinking when all this happened, and is that when you realized this is not going to be as fun as maybe you originally thought?
Well, you know what? I'll be honest. I thought it was a pretty lousy finish in the first place. The whole thing was stupid and made little sense. It seemed like a really
Hogan and Sting.
Dumb idea to bring me in as a referee out of nowhere. The whole thing was nonsensical. Didn't make any sense. But it was like, okay, well, Bischoff's supposed to be the genius, and they're doing so great. I gotta just sort of listen to what they're telling me to do and do it the best I can. It was a lousy idea, and you can blame the referee all you want, but it was a lousy idea, and the finish didn't work because he counted way too fast because he forgot that he had to count slow, and it just sort of went downhill from there. Where it was like that was probably the highlight of my career there. So but it really didn't. I never thought, and I think Rick will tell you the same thing. Is at least when you went to WWF, you knew what you were doing. You really got a clear picture of what you were doing for the next while, and how to put your input in and how to make things better. They give you enough of an idea what you do in the next couple of weeks to sort of and who you were working with and what you needed to try to do as far as your storyline went. With WCW, I don't think they knew shit. They never knew zero. They couldn't lace Vince McMahon's shoes up. They were so bad they didn't know anything about anything. There was a bunch of little morons telling people what to do. Guys like Kevin Sullivan were giving finishes to guys like me, and I just scratch my head and go, what am I taking orders from Kevin Sullivan for? Like who the hell is Kevin Sullivan to be giving? I think there's a big difference between Vince McMahon and, Vince, at least when he hired guys to be agents and guys that would tell you what to do, they were all top pros that had years and years of experience, and they were all good, like from Lanza to Chief J to, Rene Goulet and even Tony Gurria and those guys. They at least knew what a good match was, and they knew, who had good heat, and they knew how the sound of the crowd and what they could just tell you stuff that, guys in WCW I thought were really inferior, and the whole experience there, I think, they were on the verge of unbelievable greatness, and I can only imagine if they'd had some kind of, leadership there, someone that really did know what they were doing, that company would be every bit as big as WWE is today.
Yeah, direction.
But that would be so much better for the wrestlers in the business, because then there would be some kind of leverage where you could go from one company to the other, or you could always be a threat to, just like in Japan with All Japan and New Japan. But all that benefits the wrestlers, and Eric Bischoff and all those morons underneath him, they dropped the ball and killed something that was going to be great for everybody. It should have been great for everybody. And it's too bad, because there's guys in the industry like Rick and myself and a lot of guys we've talked about in the last little while that made this business mean something back then and made people start getting interested in it and start to follow. And it wasn't about the bodies. It was about the work in the ring and the matches themselves. And if you look at, from the time that me and Rick were, I would say, in our prime in the 90s, they were going away from the bodies and the build, the Hogans and the Billy Graham superstars. It was about the work rate and the workers of the business. And that's why they remember me and Rick today better than they remember